gonna do a quick save here. Also, I could have gotten real food. Instead, I got chocolate and milk. So that's a thing. Next week, I'm going to 100% get things going so I can start working out heavy again, though, so.
How cute!
Oh.
It's a pity we had to fight the centaurs. They live in my land, so they're my subjects too.
They will never accept you as their ruler, nor will they live peacefully with humans in lands they deem their own. Do not pity them. They made the choice to reject civilization and continue living as animals. I believe we should set up a camp for the night.
Okay. It's like, I wish you could just skip this. Like, skip the travel part. Because if you can't control where you're going, what's the point, you know? Again, it's one of those things where, like, this is such a weird... There's, like, really weird, choices in what they did for gameplay mechanics. No! Oh, hell no. That's not okay. It was dead. No. No. Hell no. Hey, Jagati! Oh, I mean, stuff is going. I've got essentially almost a brand new streaming PC because mine died. So... just like randomly didn't get video once, and then we couldn't get it to work after that. So luckily some family helped me out, so I was able to get new parts. And it's like way better than my other one was though, so it's nice. But
Believe in yourselves.
oh my god, I went one footstep too far. Well, the problem though is that I couldn't afford the upgrade myself, and I kind of hate when I have to accept stuff from family and stuff like that. Like, this community is awesome and helps to support me a bit, but we needed like, what was it? Like almost like $560 or something, and I don't got that kind of money, so. I'm gonna go with the wolves again, I think. Oh, this isn't even a, like, we didn't even try for, like, a good one. We just wanted something that wouldn't be outdated in, you know, like, now. So, we have, I think, what was it, Mus? We've got, like, a current-gen motherboard, more or less. So, we went with, fuck, what was it? Gigabyte AORS B550 Pro, M Pro, I think? Yeah. And an R3 3300X, but we're still using my old video card. Yeah, the 16 gig DDR4 3200, I think. And then I do still need a new video card though, but I can't afford that, so we're just gonna hope that mine doesn't die. The SSD, by the way, so it's my first NVMe. And oh my god, this thing boots up in like 3 seconds. Like, no exaggeration, this thing boots up in like 3 seconds. So that's really nice. And brand new fresh Windows install. You got 2 with your new PC and a hard drive for non-games? Well, this is just a streaming PC, so aside from my 8 terabyte external, which is just where I dump all my VODs, like where all my recordings go, this one literally just has that 500 gigabyte hard drive on it. But I don't really use much of it, so... Oh, thank goodness. Wait, a zombie Cyclops? Oh, God. Why? We'll give it that.
Fight me.
Nice. Oh my god, he like exploded in black goo. I mean, zombies don't like fire, right? Oh, they do not like fire. Yeah, no worries, Max. That on there again.
Victory is near.
There we go. Okay, who is this dude then? Oh my god, this guy! Oh god, I don't like this guy's voice is hard. I learned from him earlier that he has like a really like a... I think he's supposed to be fat. So they kind of missed that mark, but... I'm pretty sure this is the guy with the like annoyingly high-pitched voice, so hang on. The man you've just saved catches his breath and smiles brightly as if he hadn't just been zigzagging away from his pursuers. His clothing and equipment are an odd mix of quality, durable items and pompous decorative elements. Even his shirt seems cut specially to provide an unobstructed view of his chest, which is adorned with 2 golden chains. Baron Devine, your grace! What fortunate meeting you here! Until now, I've met only unpleasant guests on my morning escapades. Mager smiles warmly at the stranger and extends his hand in friendship, as to an equal. He also stands in such a way as to capture the stranger's attention, while not blocking your view or Cephal's. Greetings! And you are? Willis Gunderson, your grace! Apparently flattered by the attention, the peculiar man strikes a proud pose. Scientist, traveler, and researcher of antiquities! At your service! I'm pretty sure this isn't how we did his voice before, but... he got recasted for the DLC. It's a pleasure to see that my barony attracts such educated people, and it is most regrettable that they must face such difficulties. Mager nods toward the dead, now entirely dead, Cyclops. Where did that creature come from? I've no idea! Willis's voice seems tranquil. I was enjoying the view and taking notes when an ill-mannered simpleton stepped into my light. I politely asked him to step aside and allow me to finish, but he wouldn't listen. And when I turned around, I knew he couldn't have, for zombies have as much reason as manners. If this isn't the guy with the annoyingly high voice, I'm gonna be annoyed. Look closer at the traveler. This is the quality content you signed up for? Well, I mean, I've never really done much voices before, but hey, I'm all for trying new things. You like my terrible voices, Chikati? It's actually kind of fun doing them, so expect more annoying voices in the future. While Mager entertains the traveler in conversation, you carefully examine his gear and clothes. The first thing that strikes your attention is an intricate yellowish jade bracelet on his wrist. You can tell by his ragged state that Willis has been on the road for at least a few days, and indeed, from all appearances, mostly off the road. You think I should try accents as well? I've kind of in the past, I'm not very good with accents specifically, and I worry about getting one wrong and therefore offending people. So if we're gonna do like accents, I will probably try to do some practice off stream first and like actually listening to various dialects and stuff. But try to determine the origin of the bracelet. The bracelet looks carved of a whole piece of jade of unusual hue. Even from a distance, you can see the patterns that decorate it. Obviously signs of the relic's origin. This item came from the ancient Cyclops Empire. But what is it doing here, and how did this hapless traveler acquire it? Well now, this Cyclops is much more polite, isn't he? Mager falls quiet for a moment, allowing you to add a few words to the conversation. Aren't you cold in those clothes? Not that I don't enjoy the view. Oh. So, you're an antiquity specialist, Sir Gunderson. That bracelet you're wearing is certainly ancient, isn't it? Oh, I failed. This knick-knack, I don't think it's of any interest to you. I don't like the way you're fidgeting, lad. Tell me where you got the bracelet or else. Mager arches his eyebrow, surprised, and looks at you with slight disapproval. For once, Cephal expresses solidarity with his commander. Fairly, you should learn to be more subtle. As for you, Sir Gunderson, you better stop playing games and speak plainly. The joyful mood drops from Gunderson's face. He looks at you askance and fiddles with his bracelet hesitantly. This knick-knack isn't my latest find. I found it on the river shore. It would seem the water washed it out of some ancient burial mound. No doubt it is very ancient and may have serious scientific value. I haven't dated it precisely yet. You must understand, such things take time. But I swear, Desna herself guided my hand. Mager approaches and pats the lad on the shoulder, gently taking the bracelet from Willis's hand before he can object. This is quite interesting. The barony doesn't yet boast of its scientific achievements, but I think we can find a specialist who should be able to determine the bracelet's origin. If this is a precious item, your efforts in finding it will be generously rewarded. Here, take this as an advance. He takes a purse from his belt and hands it to Willis. Where did you say you found it? By the river? Willis seems taken aback by expropriation of the bracelet, but regains his smile when he feels the weight of the purse he'd just been handed. Hey, Battle! I went with Druid, so I just did I did Faily. The base, like, one of the base characters. I didn't want to spend too much time setting it up. So we just went with one of the, like, the recommended starter characters and with the recommended party. I'm only happy to help in any way I can, Baron Varn. With your connections, we'll surely discover the origins of this find. And meanwhile, I may employ my time on something just as useful. Did you know that besides scientific articles, I also write fiction? And I cannot pass up the opportunity to write about the exploits of the Varnling host and chronicle your first steps as Baron. You wouldn't mind, would you? But he just said he writes fiction. So long as they don't ask me to sit for a portrait, Mager laughs infectiously. I was born to a noble family, so my childhood was wasted on sitting with my mother and brothers for a train of grand portraits. I was only spared the torture after I covered my waistcoat in tar and lit my pretty feathered beret on fire. So long as you'll spare me such torments, Willis, I don't mind what you do. You should find some place to settle in Varnhold and get to work. I will send word when I receive news about the bracelet. But yeah, I wanted to do the DLC. I've heard it's relatively short, so I'm hoping... I don't know if we'll finish it today because we are going to do Grounded this afternoon. But I imagine probably... like next Saturday we'll hopefully be able to finish. Of course I choose this time to eat a chocolate. As you wish, Your Grace. It was a pleasure dealing with you. Willis Gunderson hurries off in the direction of Varnhold. Mager follows him with his eyes for a time, then turns to you. Faily, what got into you? You only made it more difficult to get information from that lad. If that wasn't much worse, we'd have had to tie him up and interrogate him properly. I'm not ready to begin my role by throwing anyone who draws suspicion into the dungeon. Why did you invite this Gunderson to Varnhold anyway? Do we really need even more foolish treasure hunters in this backwater? My mercenary gut. 9 times out of 10, when my gut tells me to keep my eyes peeled, the situation is about to get bad. Of course, there's always the 10th time, and my gut is merely predicting a severe hangover. But I don't think that's the case this time. Mager frowns for a moment. Maybe Gunderson really is just a charming chatterbox, and he ran into that dead Cyclops by accident. And maybe this bracelet is a simple piece of jewelry. But something in this story doesn't sit right. I suspect that Gunderson lied about finding it by the river. He'd clearly been wandering for days, through dungeons by the look of him. Ha! Didn't I tell you, Cephal? There's something wrong here. It's an ancient Cyclops relic. It doesn't take a specialist to see that. I agree. Perhaps we shall find a Cyclops treasure around the corner. This does not alter the fact our leader continues to leap at every shadow, and makes a fool of himself for random passing strangers, instead of focusing on important matters such as engaging in the barony's politics. The lad finds an ancient Cyclops relic in a dungeon, runs out with a zombie Cyclops at his heel. I see no mystery in what happened here. A keen nose and an eagle eye. Mager pats you on the shoulder in approval. I hope that dead Cyclops is the only thing that crawled out of wherever that lad stole this bracelet. What a story! We've hardly solved our problems with the centaurs, and we've already got a whole new riddle, and a personal chronicler along with it. We should look more closely at his paltry rhymes. Cephal, take the bracelet and see what you can make of it. Fairly, keep an eye on our new friend. Visit him in Varnhold when you have the time. Maybe you'll manage to pry something else out of him. That's it, let's move! Is there anything over here?
Defeat is not an option.
Oops. We've still got the wolves we summoned too, which is nice. We're really gonna try and up her movement, I think.
Press on.
That wasn't a bad hit. Oh! He took a lot of damage. The animation on that is kind of terrible.
I will not die this easy.
There we go. There we go. More hits. Good, good. Try and get a stun on him. Oh, he's immune to stun. Well, that sucks.
Believe in yourselves.
There we go.
Sorry to disappoint you, friends.
What's really weird is they're all stacking right on top of each other. I didn't think they could do that. I would say kick him in the balls, but he's a skeleton, so he probably doesn't have any anymore. Oh, who's this dude? Ooh. Alright, let's head out.
The dangers don't frighten me.
You can't even speed this up, which is annoying. Now you, my dear readers, have finally learned how I, Willis Gunderson, author of this tale, entered the acquaintance of Baron Varn as companions. But as much as I would like to delve into this remarkable meeting, I must remind myself that by no means am I the main character of this book. Perhaps one day it will occur to Baron Varn or the General to mention me in their memoirs. For surely our encounter must have made an impression on them as well. As fate would have it, the party has another adventure before returning to Varnhold. Having decided to take a shortcut, they find themselves in an area with strange furrow which crisscross the ground here and there. Baron Varn and his companions are cautious and approached unnoticed as a young centaur whoop and leap from one furrow to another. After a moment, Baron Varn prepares to call out to the creature. But the General and Cephalorenta shake their heads and the Baron exhales quietly. The party looks on in silence. The centaur frolics down the path and straight into the trouble as it turns out. Another leap and the ground explodes in a fountain of dirt and stone, and the muzzle of a great monster suddenly appears. Straight out of the earth, right under the centaur's tender hooves. With barely a glance, the seasoned Varnling host recognizes the monster as a boulette, a sleek predator which attacks its prey from under the ground. The terrified centaur manages to twist away and escape with his life. The monstrous jaws have cut deep wounds on his legs and side, but at least they haven't crushed him. The boy's painful scream echoes through the air while the dull, grumbling beast prepares for another attack. Baron Varn takes up his sword steadfastly set on settling the matter himself. The General touches the Baron on the sleeve and quickly whispers her plan. She suggests that they approach the monster silently rather than rush it at full speed. Success! Reasoning that such a subterranean monster is unlikely to rely on its vision, the warriors of the Varnling host move silently forward, dancing from one boulder to the next, careful never to touch the soil. The General's plan is a success, and they're able to approach the monster undetected. As they draw near, the warriors strike in unison, throwing all their might into a single, precise, and deadly attack. The wounded beast roars and tries to escape underground. The General and the Baron exchange glances, nod silently, and attack the beast with a finishing blow. The Baron is ready to continue the chase, but the General wisely notes that it would soon perish from its wounds in any case. Despite their victory, the young centaur is losing blood quickly, but has but moments more to live. Luckily, the team has means to aid him. Baron Varn greets the boy and strikes up a conversation. Cephalorhentus, mumbling something about reckless risk for questionable purposes, approaches the beast's lifeless corpse and starts performing some calculations. Meanwhile, the general decides that this is the perfect moment to learn more about centaurs. Doesn't interfere. I'm going to say doesn't interfere. The centaur says his name is Royko, but it sounds more like a nickname than a real one. He is manifestly stunned by the courage of Baron Varn and his people. He hesitantly prepares to go on his way, explaining that the tribe would soon notice his absence, and that he might be punished for talking to the two-legged. Saying warm goodbyes to the young centaur, Baron Varn nods, content with his own thoughts, and leads the party on to Varnhold. So we made friends with a centaur.
I do not like that Gunderson, even if he is not a spy. And mind you, I still have my doubts. Vagabonds like him always bring trouble.
I can't keep all the vagabonds from breaking their
heck
necks
is
in
all
the
that?
ruins. At least if he finds something interesting, he'll bring it to us, not Brevoy.
Good.
I decree we set up camp.
After a daring raid into the lands of the wild centaurs, Baron Varn and his companions returned home, and I, Willens Gunderson, had the honor of accompanying them. A time of peace has come at last. Varnhold greets one serene dawn after another, but in this dark land I dread to think what awaits us. As Kirti approaches Varn, a wince crosses her grim face, but she speaks not a word, and instead hands him a document.
Aha! I see you've included everything, just as I asked. Thank you, Kiadi.
Wow, I actually have been pronouncing that correctly. More or less. I'm impressed with myself. It's what I get for playing a lot of video games that use, like, Norse stuff.
Hagar, what does this mean? Tell me, what am I to make of this?
I sent some much-needed aid to our neighbors in the Shrike Hills. They're our only possible allies in the coming carnage. Cephal, I know your opinion, but be realistic. The Aldori are not our friends. We can't count on them for help if something happens. We're expendable.
You will not preach realism to me, you naive boy. Yes, we are bargaining chips to them. That is exactly what I'm basing my politics on. A delicate contraption which you are smashing to bits. War will come to Brevoy, even you can see that. But as long as it hasn't yet begun, you can scarcely do better than pretending to be the Aldori's most loyal vassals.
Cephal, you're not making any sense. You say that an alliance with the Eldori will end in a bloodbath. That surely means that we'd best keep away from them. Yes.
And how are you going to manage that? Perhaps Varnhold will grow a pair of legs and we shall ride it to the other end of Avestan. Or maybe we'll erect sails across the barony and sail far, far away from Brevoy. No, you don't think it'll work? Then stop dreaming of isolating the country. We're already a part of this game, and we will not be able to leave it when the smoke clears from the final battlefield. Listen to me carefully, you three. Yes, Gary, this involves you too. Things are looking bad. First, the land here is fertile, but its most bountiful crop is Cyclops graves. Second, it shares a border with the Obaria, well known for its epidemics. Gods forbid the wind carries the next plague here. Settlers are reluctant to come here as it is. I can scarcely blame them. Do not become too attached to Varnhold. This is but a stepping stone. Our real prize lies to the west. But what does Varn do? He sends them gifts. It's better to send them assassins. Without their Baron, the Shrike Hills would descend into a...
This guy's a dick.
And Silver Step in the Canelands would fall to us soon after.
Such villainy!
Do not interrupt your regent, Varn, or relieve me of the position this instant. Now, what is the most important thing here? The Aldori are afraid of unleashing war. They know that if they tried to separate from Brevoy without some kind of outside support, the Sotova would crush them. So, we must convince them that we are their most loyal allies. We will stoke the Aldori into an uprising. When the unrest picks up, we shall strike them in the back and make them fight on two fronts.
Oh.
While you, Your Grace, were drinking wine at the feast, I was busy acquiring a map of Nivatka's Crossing. Look at these fortifications. If we could seize this town, we'd win a significant piece of Brevik land along with it. After we've assisted the Sotova in hanging the Aldori on the gates, they will allow us to keep part of what we have seized as reward. Then we will have peace and prosperity.
Get out of my sight, Sephel. Get out! Never would the name of Magar Varn be tarred with such abominable villainy. It never happened while I was leader of a mercenary party, and won't happen now that I'm Baron.
Great Asmodeus, what did I do to deserve this punishment? Why do I deal with
You
you
just
at all?
said to murder people.
Taken my
Just to
share
take
of
over
the town
land.
A long time ago. I'll be off somewhere soon enough. To Absalom or Cheliax. I shall read books on the porch and drink wine, while you do whatever you want. Burn the city down and get yourself killed. Come to me later. We need to talk.
I can't believe my ears. Must the history of our country begin with such villainy? Oh, Sephel. Sephel. Well. Let the old
I mean,
devil
I'm
rule.
definitely don't think we're definitely not gonna side with Sephel.
Is
Our
that all?
character is like neutral good. The dwarf shrugs and hands him another paper.
I see.
They really didn't want to voice act the
We've got
dwarf.
a revolutionary from Galt on our hands. A tavern keeper writes us. She saw the revolutionary walking around, stirring up the people for an uprising. Well, you're the general. You go and deal with it. Talk to the tavern keeper. Find out where to look for this instigator. Well, far be it from me to teach you how to do your job. When you finish, report back to me. By the gods, what a worry. Uprisings, intrigues, these damn letters. That Gunderson and his bracelet. And the Baron has to see to all of that, and listen to everyone's complaints while he's at it. What a nuisance.
Okay. Okay, so we'll talk to Sephel, but I don't think we're gonna like what he's gonna say. Oh, that Magar. I'm so angry with them. Why do I still bother? I should have left the party after that idiocy in Ustalav. Or at least after the debacle in Mavon. If I had any sense, I would never have gotten involved at all. What do you want to talk about? Yes, that puffed up fool Varn is destroying this barony faster than we can build it. An alliance with our western neighbor is madness, and now he is sending them gifts. He takes resources we work so hard to obtain, and which are so scarce around here, and gives them away freely to our principal adversary. Madness! Exactly, Mux! Oh, by the way, Mux, let me know when you're ready for Grounded. I'm not sure, like, if I would want to do it, like, now at this break or after the next one, but obviously it depends on when you're ready too, so. Maybe it really is better that I retire. Why should I stand and watch as everything I have built these many years crumbles to ruin? I know not what to do with him, or even how to talk to him. Tell me, what do you think of all this madness? Okay. You say that Mager is reckless, but in fact you're the one dragging us into a dangerous venture. You and Mager suffer under the same blissful illusion. You imagine that silly old Cephal is plotting some schemes while you long to live simply and honestly, just like when we were a mercenary army. Well, you can put that out of your mind. Those days are long gone. State policy is a world of intrigue, and you are in this world now, whether you like it or not. From the day that Varn received his title, there will never be anything simple, clear, or honest in our lives again. Alright. Yes, you and I are both busy people now. What a joke. To be advisors to a baron who is doing everything in his power to destroy his own state.
I'll share my path.
Alright, we gotta go talk to Willis. Oh my gosh, I saw the grass moving from people walking in it, but I didn't see the people. Oh, that is weird. Dressed in clean clothes, shiny boots, and in full accessory, Willis Gunnarsson looks even more jovial than he did when you met him on the road. Ah, there you are, my lady! What a pleasure it is to see you again! Tell me about yourself. Oh, I'm quite a boring person, believe me. Willis' tones makes it clear that he's joking. Boredom has led me to learn a dozen ancient languages, decipher a trove of ancient manuscripts and chronicles, and riddle out the locations they mention and the relics hidden there. In between these rather boring tasks, I've written a few brilliant novels and a dozen poems. Indeed, I had to flee to this backwater for my admirers and fans. I do hope no one here knows the name of Willis Gunnarsson, or I shall have to flee again. Fame, I'm afraid, is the most boring thing in the world. So what brings a scientist, traveler, and researcher of antiquities to our savage lands? I was led here by some information I discovered while translating the writings on an ancient stone panel. Willis's eyes burn with excitement. It was a heavy granite slab the size of a door, but a mere pocket notebook for the ones who made their marks on it. Ancient Cyclops! It was they who wrote those inscriptions on the slab. Ancient Cyclops, unlike today's poor savages, they were darkly clever. They maintained their brilliant civilization through dreadful magic. You called that huge slab of Cyclops a notebook. Perhaps your bracelet is not a bracelet at all. But how did I not think of that? Willis's eyes opened wide. Of course, if you consider the Cyclops' size, this is rather a ring. Ah, the explorer must remain impartial, but to be perfectly honest, everything about these Cyclopses repulses me. They were no kind spirits even while they lived. We are lucky not to have lived in the time of their empires. And what was written on the slab? Nothing terribly significant. It describes Cyclops settlements across the Tors of Lebanese and mentioned that incredible magic treasures had been stored here in the past. But that was thousands of years ago. There's scarce a chance that anything remains today. Even that bracelet I found was hardly anything more than a valuable knickknack. But even if I don't find any real artifacts, I will continue my search in the name of science. I see. Okay, thank you for the conversation. I have to go. All right. Whenever I'm ready. Okay. Oh. Well, let me talk to this tavern keeper then, and then we can switch. The tavern owner, Svelid, a freckled halfling, waves to you gladly. Oh, I heard you're the general now. Congratulations, this calls for a celebration. Do you want a drink? Or just water while you're on duty? Her wife, Karita, stops wiping the cups and gives you a wry look. If I had to serve as the general of Arnold, I'd have to start the day with a glass of gin. God. But you do that anyway. Who said a tavern owner's life is easier than a general's? I've had a report that a troublemaker from Gult was seen here. Yes, that scumbag! We've seen a lot like her. She wandered in here talking about tyranny and justice when really she was just looking for something to steal. She came in with a small group. I think they were from a farm that's near the town. They sat here for a long time saying things that made me sick to hear. First, they were talking about Ignash, the sorcerer, saying he was a bloodsucker, tricking the simple people. Then they talked about how to get into the armory to get some weapons. Then they decided they couldn't manage it, too many guards. But then they remembered there would be pitchforks and scythes in the barn. In the end, they started talking to people, trying to stir them up for a riot. But nobody would listen. I showed them the door and sent word to the treasurer right away. I don't know where they went. I think they said something about fishermen on the river. Do something with her, for Desna's sake. Kick her so hard she rolls back to Gult. Otherwise, she'll wind up some fools, and they'll burn down the whole town. We'll talk to the people, but you'd best go find out where she is and what she's doing. Okay. All right. All right, guys. I'm going to save here then. And if Mux, if you are ready, we will switch over to Grounded. We will do some more of this next Saturday, if not before. Until then, stay tuned, guys. We're going to switch over to some Grounded and see what we can do. I think our big plan for Grounded right now is, what was it, Mux? It's going to be like essentially just resource gathering, science gathering, quests, I think, so that we can get stuff so we can build a castle. Guys, we're going to build a castle. But yeah, hold tight, guys. I will be right back.